Hey guys, Andrew here, and today I'm making a video on my HP Elitebook 8460P because, first of all, why not? Second of all, these things don't get much recognition and they're a pretty good laptop for the price. You can usually get them for around $100 excluding a hard drive, so if you just pop a hard drive in there, you're pretty much set to go once you install Windows or Linux or whatever your preferred operating system is. So first of all, let's take a look at the hardware. I'm going to unplug it first. So on the top we have nothing but an HP logo right here. The thing is I put a custom skin on it, a nice solid state black or whatever from Decal Girl. And I think it looks pretty alright. It was mostly just to cover up some scratches, but whatever. Over on the right side of the machine we have an eSATA port, headphone jack as well as a microphone jack, USB, a power USB so you can plug it in while the laptop's plugged in and charge your phone or something. And we have a display port, as well as a Kensington lock and the big exhaust for the fan. On the back we have a modem, a VGA, as well as an Ethernet. The battery's over here, and just some bolts over here. It actually is a pretty hefty laptop, around 5 pounds I think. Over here we have the power port, the FireWire, and 2 USB ports, as well as a SD card over here. We have the CD, DVD writer thing, no one uses them. Expansion slot. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention the smart card on the other side right here. I have no use for it, but hey, it's there. On the bottom of the laptop, let me just change the frame a little bit. Perfect. I have the battery as well as this huge cover for all the stuff underneath. So let's go ahead and take the battery out, because there is something under there worth showing. So under the battery, we have a SIM slot actually right here. You can see it's labeled with a little SIM thing right there. Now that the battery's out, we can take this cover off. It is a metal cover actually, so that's nice quality. So here we have the Wi-Fi card, the RAM, the CPU's under this. Here's the cooling fan, and I don't know what that is. And the hard drive is right here. So this thing has 6 gigabytes of RAM, originally 4, but I upgraded it with a 2 gig stick. And over here the CPU is a 2520M i5. And the hard drive is a 300 gigabyte hard drive, which is held under this caddy right here. Alright, so let's go ahead and put everything back on and take a look at the inside of the machine. And lock those into place. Perfect. So on the inside of the machine, let's take a look at the bottom here. We have a glass trackpad, which is really nice. It's very similar to a MacBook Pro trackpad. We have a fingerprint sensor, which does not work on Windows 10 over here. We have the keyboard, which is Chiclet Island styled and actually feels pretty nice too. We have these 2 buttons for mouse click, as well as these ones. These ones are for the track point right here, right in the middle. Power button, wireless button, internet browser button, I think. That was for HP Quick Web when it was on Windows 7. And we have, oh shit, did I turn it on? No, we're good. And we have a mute button right there. As for the display, we have a nice 1336 by 768 resolution display, perfectly adequate for a laptop of this size. We have the webcam, the ambient light sensor, as well as the Think Light, which you press this in and it comes out. It's basically just a Think Light from Lenovo. Illuminates the keyboard with a little light because it's not backlit. Now the design of this laptop is very MacBook Pro-esque. I mean, it has that nice silver housing, the black keyboard, the black display, and I guess all laptops look the same. They are ultimately just bigger rectangles with things on them, but still, it does look very similar to a MacBook Pro in my opinion. Alright, so let's go ahead and open this thing up again. I don't know why I closed it. And head into the BIOS. So to get into the BIOS, you just hit escape. that'll highlight and that'll indicate that you got into it. And hold on, I'm just going to close that. So here we have system info, which we can just glance over real quick. Very nice. System diagnostics, initiate Intel CIRA, HP spare key, boot device options, and F10, which is BIOS setup. And that's what we're interested in. So here we just have pretty much the same stuff we saw earlier. System info, diagnostics, set date and time, pretty basic BIOS things. This BIOS is actually pretty nice looking too. It is a business class laptop after all, so it's not really surprising to me. Alright, so in here we have security features, which really isn't all that interesting. But hey, they're there. In system config, we have language, boot options, device config, built-in device options, port options, AMT options, set security level, restore security defaults, and BIOS power on settings. So what's interesting in here is device configuration, which has all this legacy support for older things, speeds for the express card, fan always on while on AC power, which I suggest keeping off because this thing sounds like a airplane when it's on. SATA speeds, SATA device read mode, USB is a charging port, which is this port right here, which I think I mentioned earlier. Let's get this a little closer now that I think about it. There we go. Wacom USB, HP Day Starter, which I do not know what that is. Secondary battery fast charge, which is for the dock, which I don't have. HP Quick Web, which was a proprietary software for Windows 7, I think. It's not installed on 10. HP Quick Web again. Virtualization tech. TXT technology. Multi-core CPU, Intel hyper-threading tech, power control, smart card, num-lock at boot. And the other one is the port options, which is fairly interesting. I mean, it just has ports that you can disable or enable. The last one, which is somewhat interesting, is built-in device options, which just shows all the built-in devices which are disableable or enableable. As you can see, I have the fingerprint sensor turned off because it's not useful in Windows 10 because the drivers aren't there, as well as the modem because no one uses a modem. I don't know why the ambient light sensor is off actually. Let's turn that back on. And let's go ahead and save. Yes, you can see it does have cursor support in here, which is nice. And we can go ahead and exit and boot into Windows 10 now. Save changes, yes. Now this is running in a hard drive, so it's not particularly fast, but with a SATA, or not a SATA, an SSD, it'd be quite a bit faster. I know because I actually did have an SSD in here for a while, but I gave it to my friend, or my friend took it for his main desktop computer. So go ahead and log in real quick. And you can see this is running full Windows 10. Okay, boost the brightness at all. Maybe keeping that sensor off was a bad idea. Or a good idea. Oops. Apparently not. Whatever, that's fine. It looks fine on video, I think. So like I said, full Windows 10 64-bit, running it with 6 gigabytes of RAM, 300 gig hard drive, as well as an i5-2520M. As for the GPU in this thing, which I think I forgot to mention earlier, this is running Intel HD Graphics 3000 series. There are some models that come equipped with an AMD chip, but obviously this isn't that model, and they usually go for like $200 or so, so $100 more on what is the basic price on these things. Like I said, here are the specs. Windows 10 Pro, the version number, OS build, product ID, processor, like I said, the 2520M, running at 2.5 gigahertz dual core. Installed GAM is RAM, not GAM, is 6 gigabytes, 64-bit operating system, etc. Let's see. Honestly, that's about all there is to cover. I mean, running Windows 10, it's perfectly fine, as well as that all the drivers install just fine when you first install Windows 10. So I am having no issues with anything other than the fingerprint sensor, which I don't care much about in the first place. So yeah, it runs pretty much perfectly with Windows 10. You can see Google up here running just fine. As well as that, it runs videos just fine at 1080p, though this is only like a 768 display. CD drive, so you can actually play DVDs on this thing, which is also nice. So yeah, I think that's all about there is to cover. There's not too much special about this laptop other than it being a really, really good deal if you want a laptop. The i5 is a little bit old at this point, but it's still a good enough processor to a point where it'll do everyday tasks and pretty much be a workhorse machine just fine. So yeah, that's about it on this 8460p. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them, and thanks for watching.